Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally going to shift how you view yourself. I mean, how we actually make choices. If you think you're this highly rational, logical being who perfectly weighs every single option before coming to a conclusion, well, you are in for a seriously fascinating surprise. We're about to completely dismantle what you thought you knew about your own decision-making process.
Just think about it for a second. Have you ever regretted a decision you made? Or maybe you felt totally overwhelmed by a massive sea of options right in front of you. Hey, we've all been there, right? It's the core frustration of modern choices. We experience failed communication. We make bad decisions that we have to awkwardly walk back later, and we just constantly feel that heavy burden of trying to figure out the right path. But what if I told you the problem isn't the choices themselves, but the actual hardware you're using to process them?
Okay, let's dive into this. You and I were Homo sapiens sapiens, the proud, highly evolved, ultimate version of the human species, right? You probably feel like you're so incredibly rational, so efficient. But here comes a massive reality check. The conscious part of your brain, it simply gives you a comforting illusion of control. Because deep inside your skull, your brain's evolution actually stopped 50,000 to 100,000 years ago. So yeah, you might be holding the absolute latest smartphone, but the hardware running your mind, it basically hasn't updated since we lived in caves. To really grasp this immense age gap, let's go way, way back. About 500 million years ago, our primal brain emerged. That's the reptilian part of our brain. Now, fast forward to about 10 million years ago, we became bipedals, stood upright, and boom, our rational brain, the neocortex, finally appeared. And then, roughly 50,000 years ago, our brain's evolution just abruptly stopped. I mean, it hit a wall. This means that, at our very core, we're essentially making our most critical decisions exactly like a 500 million-year-old reptile. The only real difference is, we don't need our children.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer contrast operating inside your head right this second. The primal brain is a pure survival tool. It runs automatically, zero effort, and it operates up to 200 times faster than your rational brain. 200 times. On the flip side, the rational neocortex, the part of you that's listening to me, analyzing, and thinking logically, is incredibly slow. It requires immense concentration and basically hogs all your energy to function.
So because that primal brain is so ancient and blindingly fast, its one and only purpose is rapid survival. And the absolute best way to summarize how the decision maker in our brain operates is this quote: "Better be alive and stupid than smart and dead." Makes perfect sense, right? Out in the wild, if you encounter a threat, you don't have time to sit down and logically analyze it. You have to react instantly. This survival mechanism creates ancient cognitive biases. These are mental shortcuts that kept us alive back in the day, but they completely, totally hijack our modern, everyday choices today.
Let's anchor this cognitive science in a super relatable frustration. Be honest. How many times have you found yourself trying to convince yourself that buying a new pair of shoes, or maybe an incredibly fancy new car, made perfect, logical sense? Well, here's the secret. The decision process is entirely bottom-up. Your primal brain makes the rapid, emotional decision first. Done. And then, your slow, rational brain just waltzes in later to justify and rationalize that totally irrational purchase. It's wild.
And listen, it doesn't stop at just one or two mental shortcuts. Today, science has identified over 180 cognitive biases. That is 180 different ancient survival scripts constantly playing tricks on our logic, shaping our behaviors, and deeply influencing how we perceive everything in our daily lives. We walk around every day thinking we're making these carefully calculated choices, when in reality, these 180 invisible scripts are totally pulling the strings behind the scenes.
One of the most famous of these 180 biases is confirmation bias. You've probably heard of it. It's the primal tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information that exclusively confirms what you already believe. And it's powerful. It leads even the smartest business and marketing teams to completely ignore objective reality. They end up relying on flawed, self-fulfilling data. It's exactly like a marketing team only asking focus group questions that validate the product they've already secretly decided to launch anyway.
Then we have biases like loss aversion and the availability heuristic. This is basically our brain's natural tendency to prefer an immediate, readily available benefit just to avoid a potential loss. It's perfectly summed up by the old saying, "A bird in the hand is better than two in the bush." These specific biases compel people to make rapid, impulsive decisions simply to relieve the subconscious frustration, that incredibly heavy burden of having to weigh complex, distant options.
To show you just how powerful this really is, let me share this crazy anecdote from our source material.
So a highly logical B2B vendor was once selected by a buyer at this massive trade show. Do you know why they actually won the contract? It wasn't their superior technology. It wasn't their pricing. No way. It was simply because of the comforting color of the blue carpet in their booth. I mean, it literally proves that even in these highly complex corporate environments, logic takes a backseat to primal subconscious emotion.
So the crucial point is, it all comes down to a highly specific window, 11 seconds. Scientific research has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it takes exactly 11 seconds for the primal brain to make a firm decision. Think about that. Your rational brain might spend the next few hours, days, or even months building a neat logical case for it. But the actual decision maker inside your skull locked the choice in after just 11 seconds. Everything after that, it's just justification.
But wait, I have to immediately pivot to a massive twist here. Even though that decision takes 11 seconds to finalize, the primal brain actually lives in a tiny, constant 7-second window. It is functioning strictly in the present moment. It has absolutely zero concept of the past and zero concept of the future. You are essentially dealing with the attention span and temporal reality of a 2.5-year-old child. So when you connect that ticking stopwatch to the primal brain, a pretty stark reality emerges for anyone trying to communicate or sell an idea. All of those traditional 30-second elevator pitches you've been taught to memorize, they are utterly useless. You're bringing a 30-second logical argument to an ancient survival brain that completely resets its reality every 7 seconds. You're essentially just speaking into a void.
So what does this all mean? How on earth do we communicate effectively with a caveman? Well, we need a modern workaround to ethically persuade this 500-million-year-old survival software. Enter the Make Me Great system. This is the ultimate and frankly the only system out there that uses this exact biological reality to make you unforgettable in those critical 11 seconds. It lets you ethically persuade the primal brain before it completely resets.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how it works. Think of this framework as your new communication superpower. It takes all of those messy evolutionary quirks we just talked about and transforms them into a crystal clear roadmap. A roadmap to becoming completely unforgettable by speaking the exact rapid language the primal decision maker actually understands. Let's walk through these 5 core steps real quick. It begins with step 1, who you are. This means knowing what makes you uniquely equipped to help. From there, we naturally flow into step 2, why you do it, which clarifies your core motivations to help others trust you. Then you build on that with step 3, creating a tribe, establishing a loyal community that actually feels safe. That sets the perfect stage for step 4, ethical persuasion, where you systematically target the decision maker's primal brain rather than wasting time on their logical neocortex. And finally, step 5, communication, ensuring you actually stick in that tight 7-second window. This entire system completely ignores the rational illusion and goes straight to the real boss.
Let's move to the real core of this and see how it builds. The true aim of this entire framework isn't just to be the loudest voice in the room. It's about resolving subconscious frustration. Remember, the primal brain runs at near maximum capacity constantly, and it absolutely hates stopping to weigh complex options. If you can offer a clear, immediate benefit that permanently removes the heavy burden of deciding, like, say, showing a client they gain more family time rather than pitching dry technical specs, you win. You sell the pizza, not the ingredients.
Which brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself as we wrap up this explainer. The next time you're trying to communicate a brilliant idea, win a client, or simply avoid a terrible decision, what are you going to do? Are you going to waste your breath pitching to the rational illusion that doesn't even make the final call? Or will you use this primal paradigm shift, step boldly into that 7-second window, and speak directly to the caveman? The choice and the superpower is now absolutely yours.